Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the long offseason continues as our New Jersey Devils look to make improvements during this summer. Heading into the 25-26 season, we will see a new team with some new faces. And one of the elements that I've seen discussed on social media and articles, etc., over the past week or so is the New Jersey Devils handling of the Jake Allen dilemma. That is right, my friends. The Devils are currently faced with a Jake Allen dilemma. Jake Allen's contract is up. He will be an unrestricted free agent, and he is looking to get paid. Now, there's a lot of layers to this. I'm going to get into all of it. But we first take a look at Jake Allen's stats from last season. Obviously, with the Markstrom injury, Jake Allen played quite a few games. In 31 games played this season, he had 13 wins, 4 shutouts with a goals against of 2.66 and a save percentage of .908. I thought Jake Allen played very well, gave the team a chance to win on most nights that he was in the net. He had a couple stinkers, but all starting goalies do. But for the most part, he was very solid. That veteran presence with a solid defense the Devils had, he played well. He really did. I like Jake Allen. I am a big Jake Allen fan. And I thought it made sense when we brought him in. I wish we got him earlier in that 23-24 season. I do think we could have made a claw attempt to get into the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there at this point. But Jake Allen, very good last year. Very, very solid. And he's looking to get paid. Now, with the state of goaltending in unrestricted free agency, there's not many guys out there. And so Jake Allen will be the belle of the ball in terms of goaltending. Any team looking for a solid tandem goaltender or insurance for a starter, however your goaltending situation is, a guy like Jake Allen will certainly be in high demand this offseason. Plenty of teams would love to add his services. And I do believe, as I predicted several months ago, looking at the whole landscape with not a lot of goalies out there, Jake Allen is 34 right now. He's turning 35 this summer. I do believe, because of the lack of competition in terms of available goaltenders, that Jake Allen will likely get offers for a 2-year deal at somewhere between $3 and $3.5 million a season. Good for Jake Allen getting one final payday. I'm sure he is more than financially secure, but if you look at his career earnings compared to some other guys, it's not like he's extremely wealthy and he could leave all sorts of money on the table. I'll get to that in a minute. But 2 years, $3 to $3.5 million is what I think teams will offer him, and he's earned it. He more than earned it with his play last season on that Devils team that relied on him when Markey went down. And that's going to be a tough number for the Devils to get anywhere close to, in my opinion. Now, both Jake Allen's camp has commented, as well as Tom Fitzgerald, that, Fitzy would love to have Allen back. Allen said he likes New Jersey. He would love to come back. But the reality is the New Jersey Devils are cap-strapped for sure. They have about $12 million in cap space. They need to get Luke Hughes' extension in place, which most estimates at this juncture have somewhere between that $8 and $9 million mark. It could possibly be a little higher, who knows? But if he does get that long-term deal, it will fall somewhere probably between $8 and $9 million, which means the Devils will have somewhere in the ballpark of $3 to $4 million to sign several forwards. And so we're already super tight against the cap, and this is kind of looming. Now, in a vacuum, would I love to have Jake Allen back? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you can have a veteran goaltender as an insurance policy to your starter, and we did see Markey get hurt last year while he was playing phenomenal. He took that knee injury in that Boston game, and it was terrible. And without Allen, there is a very good chance that the Devils would have missed the playoffs. That is the reality. When you look at this, with the cap being super tight for the Devils, I personally just do not see where this money would come from outside of the obvious moving a contract out. I'll get to that in a little bit. But as it stands right now, the Devils do not have the money for this, in my opinion. And then you say, okay, well, if they don't bring Jake Allen back, what is the plan? What plan do you have for goaltending if it's not for Jake Allen? And then the obvious answer is none other than Nico Daws. Now, Nico Daws, in my opinion, has shown flashes of being a capable starter in this league. Young, promising goalie. He's only 24 years old. He played pretty well, I would say, in some stretches of the 23-24 season. The one that comes to mind, obviously, for a lot of people is that Stadium Series game, a big performance for him, beating the Flyers at MetLife in that outdoor game. What a beautiful night at the stadium. For those that were there, what a night. What a night in Devils history. But Last season, Daws, we look at the numbers for last season. He played in 6 games. He had 3 wins, 1 shutout with a goals against of 1.60 and a save percentage of .939. Come on down, Nico Daws. Obviously, a very, 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 very small sample size. And I'm not going to say, oh, look at the numbers. That proves everything. No, it doesn't. But in a small sample size, very good numbers from a young kid in Nico Daws. And when I analyze the whole situation, while I am more comfortable with Allen in that tandem role, the reality is, for me, in my opinion, we just can't come anywhere near the money that he's going to get from other teams. And so, if he came out and said, I'm going to leave all this money on the table and I would take a 1-year deal at league minimum with the Devils, then I would say you have to find a way to do it. But the reality is that is not reality. He is not going to leave that kind of money on the table. The second year, I think, could be problematic as well. Now, we don't know if teams are going to offer him 2 years, but I believe at least one team will, and that's all it takes. And so for an extra year of an NHL paycheck for a guy like Allen at the end of his career, all things considered, I don't think he's going to leave a second year on the table, and I certainly believe the Devils are not in a position to offer him a second year. And so for me, I just unfortunately think that the reality is we are going to be outbid, and with that second year potential from other teams, it would be very irresponsible for the New Jersey Devils to go down that road. Now, a lot of you are going to disagree with me. My good friend Steve the Maniac is kind of scared about having Daws in that tandem. But when I look at the overall cap space situation with the Devils, I believe that because the defense is very solid, I do believe on most nights, not every night, but most nights, the defense will be good enough to keep any NHL average goaltender insulated enough for us to have a chance to win the game. Now, obviously, yes, the offense has been problematic. We saw last year peaks and valleys. The bottom 6 production kind of disappeared. When the big guns aren't going, it could be ugly in some games. We got shut out, I think, 8 or 9 times last year. Completely tragic. But that's why I do believe, in my heart of hearts, that every red cent the Devils have in cap space now and potentially can free up with trading guys out, every red cent must be spent on improving the forward group. Period. The forward group was not good enough. They did not get it done. Fitzy acknowledged such in his postseason press conference. And we're not coming back with the same team. And so for me, to allocate this type of money to a backup goaltender, unfortunately, I just think it would be irresponsible, given the cap space. Every dollar must go to improving the forward group, period. I liked our goaltending last season. Loved the defense. I think that's going to keep us in a ton of games. You got to get more goals. You got to get more production. You got to get a little more scrit, as somebody coined the term a few weeks back, a combination of skill and grit. And if you're watching these playoffs, you see what good playoff teams what they do in the playoffs. They're very hard to play against, very physical. It's a different game. It's playoff warfare. If you don't believe it, just watch the playoffs. There's no disputing it at this point for all the people that try to downplay the emphasis and importance of physicality and just being a tough team in the playoffs. Watch the games. And for people that point to like the hit totals are great. You guys know I love hits and blocks. I think those are stats and metrics of winning teams that are dedicated to winning, putting your body on the line, throwing the body, getting in lanes, blocking pucks. But there's more to team toughness than just hits. And I would say the Devils are a great example of it. They ranked, I forget where, but they were towards the top of the league in hits. But I do not think any teams were, going into games against the Devils and like, oh no, shaking in our boots. We got to play the Devils tonight. Despite a nice hit total, they were not an overly difficult team to play against. And when you watch even the Panthers and the Oilers right now in this Cup Finals, you see plays and you're like, where are these plays coming from, from the Devils? You don't see these types of plays for the most part, and they have to get tougher as a team, and that goes beyond hits. Hopefully, we could bring in some bottom 6 guys that could kind of fill that role, add to a little bit of the team toughness. I would love to see some skilled grit in the top 6. Again, with the cap space, it's all going to be tough. But looking at the overall picture with Markey, this is a win-now guy. He's going to probably play about 55 or so games next year, assuming he doesn't get injured, somewhere probably between 50 and 55, leaving, 27 to 30 starts for whoever the backup goaltender is. And in my opinion, it is now time officially to give Nico Daws his shot. It's time. 24 years old. He's been in the organization for a little bit now. It's time for him to take the next step. a lot of people are going to flame me and say, oh, how are you going to trust him? And, we got to bring Allen. There's just no money for Allen, period. And so I understand you are leaving yourself exposed a little bit by trusting in a young guy like Daws instead of Jake Allen. But here we are. We don't have much of a choice. You're talking about having to make some sort of trade to get salary out and then use all that money on Jake Allen. I think that would be a misappropriation of cap space. That money must go towards the forwards, because even with a couple trades, we're still not going to be able to go splurging on forwards, but the forward group absolutely needs help. That is the most pressing need for this team. And so while I understand a lot of people will be slightly uneasy, including my good boy Steve the Maniac, shout out to Steve the Maniac, with having Daws in that role, we don't really have a choice. The money's not there. And if the money does become available, it is much better spent on the forwards. Now, on the other side of the coin, kind of this whole thing, aside from the money, is that, the reality is Jake Allen's going to turn 35 as well. And so we're going to have two old goalies. And for all the people talking about, Markstrom's old and all the concerns about that, well, I, for one, was not that concerned about it. Obviously, it's always a risk you take. But if you're concerned about it for Markey, on one hand, then you should be equally as concerned about it for Jake Allen. And so the reality is, the way the Devils' kind of goaltending situation has played out over the years, Markey is the first legitimate 1A goalie we've had since Corey Schneider. That is just a fact. It was just constant turnover of, veterans and kind of journeyman goalies. We finally got our guy in Markey. We kind of got to put all the eggs in the Markstrom basket for the most part. That is a win-now move. I love Markey. He was playing at a Vezina caliber last season before he got injured. And I do think Daws could be serviceable in that backup role, playing anywhere from 25 to 30 games, whatever it is, and still give the Devils a chance to win in his starts. Furthermore, the Devils have to start thinking about the goaltending kind of plan for the future, right? I do believe at some point we will see Jacob Markstrom extended for a year or two. Now, Markey, someone asked him about it, and he said, Fitz calls, he'd love to take the call. He likes New Jersey. He wants to play more. And so I do believe at some point Markstrom will be extended for at least a year or two. Now, obviously, a lot of that depends on what he looks like this upcoming season, if he stays healthy, yada, yada. But I do think we will see at least one extra year of Markey beyond this one, possibly two. With having Allen come back this upcoming season as the backup, you're still very much not progressing for your future plans for goaltending, right? Obviously, Markstrom and Allen being the ages that they are, they're not going to be here forever. And so you could potentially be in a situation where you need a new tandem from one season to the next, where there is no kind of transition. You always like to see the transition. Who's going to be groomed to be the next guy? Now, with a Markstrom-Daws tandem for the upcoming season, I think that gives Daws a nice little taste. He's going to get his workload, and it will give him the potential to be in the spot to take the net when Markey leaves. You have to have some sort of transition plan. Otherwise, we're going to be back at square one. You say you get, Markey for 1 year, Allen, something happens, blah, blah, blah. Now they're both gone, and now you need a new tandem completely. Not a great spot to be in, and so I do believe in grooming the next guy. As it stands right now, I do believe Daws is in that spot to be the next goaltender, his spot to lose. But there's other goalies in the organization as well. But the point is, you can't just kind of spring a new tandem out of nowhere, young, inexperienced guys like that. There's got to be a mitigation plan. And for me, again, aside from the cap constraints that we're going to have, having Daws in that backup spot to Markey gives him a taste, gets his workload, and will acclimate him more to the NHL game and hopefully put him in the spot to take over for Markey when Markey's done. Whether that's another year after next, 2 years, whatever it is, you got to have a plan. Got to have a plan, and I think it starts with giving Daws his workload as the backup goalie this upcoming season. And then you're going to have other guys in the mix, obviously, for whenever Markstrom is gone. The post-Markstrom goaltending era should have plenty of options, but I do think you have to have Daws with some experience in the league as a backup for a year or two before he's ready to take the net full-time. And then at that point, you may have, Isaac Poulter in the organization is very promising. My favorite prospect across all positions, Big Mike, Mikhail Yegorov of Boston University. I do believe he is going to be the next stud. Going to be the next stud for the New Jersey Devils. I think he's going to be a franchise goalie. Big kid, smooth in net. Love everything about his game. He's playing at Boston University under former New Jersey Devil and two-time Stanley Cup champion Jay Pandolfo. This kid looks like he has the goods, and I do think he is the next franchise goalie. The big question, obviously, is when Will he be ready to take that net full time? It could be maybe 2 years from now. It could be 3. Maybe it could be 4. You never know. He likely has another year or 2 in college, and I'm sure the team would like to have him have a year of seasoning at a minimum in Utica. And so when you look at the overall goaltending picture, I would like for there to be some sort of step-by-step, at least the framework of a plan for after Markey, because we do not want to end up like the Devils were for years, where we just saw constant reaches at the starting goaltending position, and it was a problem point for the Devils for years and years, and it finally got solved when we got Markey. Said a lot here. In a nutshell, I love Jake Allen. I loved what he brought for the team during his time here. I will appreciate him for it. Would love to see him back in an alternate universe. The reality is the Devils are cap strapped, and I do believe every red cent that they could free up and that they already have at the moment in cap space must go to fixing the forward group, because that is the most pressing need. And I'm going to take my chances. Anytime you're looking at, the puzzle of a team and you're trying to get the right pieces and fit the right pieces in place, nothing is ever going to be ideal. Like, nothing's ever going to be, not ideal, but nothing's ever going to be the perfect scenario. And so when you address one thing, you might be leaving yourself exposed a little bit in another area. And I think that's a chance we have to take with Nico Daws. He's shown enough for me to give him his shot. The defense will keep him in a lot of games, and I think he's capable of rising to the occasion. Small sample size last year. I liked what he brought. I was pretty confident in his starts, and I think it's time to give him his chance to shine in that backup role. Cap space kind of necessitates it, and like I said, I do think the plan going forward, at some point, he's going to have to go into the deep end and start getting that experience to push towards the starting role eventually when Markey's not here, and then he's going to have the competition with the guys like Poulter, Yegorov at some point. There's some other guys in the organization as well, Jacob Malik. There's a few others, but that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. I said a lot in this video. Let me know what you guys think about this. I know a lot of people want to see Allen back, and again, in an ideal world, I would love to see him back too, but given the cap space and the future planning of goaltending, I just don't see it being sensible. And beyond not being sensible, I think it would sort of be malpractice. I really do. It's kind of a strong term to use, but using cap dollars on a backup goalie when we have another guy who's shown he could be decent, with all the glaring needs up front, you got to spend all the money up front. I'm sorry. This forward group needs a lot of help, and I want to see the money used towards that, and any money freed up should go towards that as well. But let me know what you guys think. I know some of you will be pro Daws, some of you will be pro Allen. I understand both sides of it, but when you look at the overall picture, for me, it's a pretty easy decision. Jake Allen, thank you for your services, but he just can't be brought back. It just can't happen. Got to fix the forward group. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Anything, everything Devils hockey, throw it out there in the comments. I enjoy talking to all of you. I'll be back soon. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. Just keep your eyes peeled. I'll be back. The Stanley Cup Finals are one for the ages, guys. What a rematch. Unbelievable. Getting multiple overtimes in every game. And for those that are still in denial, just watch the warfare and look at the guys getting it done. Warriors. Evander Kane, Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand. I mean, this is just big boy hockey, guys. Big boy hockey, and I'd love to see the Devils inject some of that element. But I'll be back soon with a lot of videos. Some pipe dream videos, some realistic scenario videos, a little bit of everything in between. But I will be back. The long off season continues, but throw it out there in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.